The very first step into your trading strategy should be the context and looking at the overall picture of the market. Well, there's something that must be said about the power of starting the trading week with a barbecue. It's pretty cool. Perfect way to start. Welcome back to Dublin, guys, as we are doing this barbecue. If you didn't know before, I'm staying with Victor, who's part of the Facebook group. And he's kind enough to let me stay at his place for a couple of days. I'm in Dublin and it's awesome. He proposed to do a barbecue to start the trading week. And with that being said, we'll go on the weekly review. And then we're going to go back to Porto. A couple of things that I didn't show yet about Porto. So for now, the weekly review, I want to go through all the pairs. And the first thing I do usually when I start the week is I try to see what's going to happen this week. What am I going to be doing? Where am I going to travel to? And kind of what I can expect. Now for this coming week, I have kind of one day where I cannot trade because I'll be flying from Dublin to Montreal. That's like a whole day pretty much. So I expect not to trade that day. And if I miss trades on that day, then it's going to be kind of normal. I cannot do anything for it. I have to accept the fact. But the rest, I have to be there and show up to trade properly. So we'll go once again through all the pairs. I'm on AOD CAD right now. And I'll use this kind of 3-chart layout on TradingView because it just works the best. So this pair, we talked about it a few weeks ago, or we talk about it like every week. It's between two zones at this point. So the first step when you start trading is you want to identify the zone where the pair is at. And if it's at no zone, then there's no reason to trade for my system. If it's at a zone, then you can look for a trade setup, which we'll talk about later. So this pair at no zone. So we'll not do anything, we'll not flag it, we'll keep it as is. AOD which is the second pair we'll look at, is at the zone right now. 82. It's a number where price has been bouncing a couple of times in the past. And the reason why I have the two charts open above, the forward chart and the 1 hour chart, is because these are the time frame I'll trade. I'm not looking to trade the weekly chart because that would be not in my style and kind of boring for me. I prefer slightly lower time frame. And I've seen that this works the best in my case. So I'm going to look at the forward chart. Forward chart when at the zone. Like this is still in the zone right now. It pushed a little bit back up. We had no setup on the pair. And it went to the upper Bollinger Band. Now we would like to see something more on the lower side of the Bollinger Band. Okay, that's where there will be a setup for me. If price were to push back to the lower band and do a nice candle that shows a reversal single, that would be perfect. And the 1 hour chart, pretty much the same thing happened. So we went down here, no setup, no reversal candle, and then we'll push back up. So we need to see price going back to the lower band to do a bullish setup, which we don't have yet. But I'll keep this one flag because it's at the zone. And I will most likely look at it this week, pretty much every day and every 4 hours. AOD is doing something that starting to become weird. Like we pushed above here, this was an intermediate zone between 1.04 and 1.13. This zone 1.08 is where we bounced a few times in the past, but looks like price just fades and doesn't do much. So I'm gonna keep watching the pair. If we come back to the lower band on the 1 hour chart or the forward chart, and look for my setup as always. If you guys want to know more about the setup I look for and what I trade, I'll put a link below. It's another video you can watch, and that's going to explain the whole thing. I kind of hate to repeat myself, but that's going to do the trick to tell you what it's about. AUD is at this zone, and this is a pretty strong zone. We bounced here a few times in the past, 0.75. Last week was a week of kind of break even, right? We pushed down, back up. And now we want to see some setups. We had a setup over here, but since the rule I follow center above the high, price doesn't trigger the entry because that's not a setup we would look for. Now we can wait for a pullback on this chart. It kind of pull back to the lower band, and that's where we would be likely to have a setup. Same thing on the forward chart. We're still at the upper band, which is the band I would use technically to sell, not to buy. So we want to wait for price to go to the low of the Bollinger Band and look for setup once again. But I'll keep this one flag because it's at a zone. Euro AUD is coming back to the zone. We talked about this last week, the fact that price went down from the zone that's important, 1.57. Now it's coming back up to test the zone again. And the past week was a bullish week. Okay, slightly bullish. Now if we look on a forward chart, price went to the top. We had no sign of reversal. Went back down a little bit. And on the 1 hour chart, price went up. We had no sign of reversal once again. Went back down a little bit. So the cool thing here is that we're getting kind of sideways. So it's going to be easy for price to move from here to the upper band where we could look for bearish singles, but for now we just have to wait. AUD is apparently touching a zone. So the past week we said that price was close to touching the zone here, 1.55, and now it looks like the past week was a big bullish week with this wick at the end. So if you look at the forward chart, we went up, touched the zone, no reversal signal, and went back down a little bit. On the 1 hour chart, pretty much the same thing, no reversal signal because of this big bullish candlestick. But we need to look closely at this pair for the following week. So I'll flag this one because it's at the zone, and I'll look for any touch on this higher band of the Bollinger Band. That's the tool I use to trade, and we'll wait to see what price does at the zone. EUR/JPY is coming back to this support. We flagged it in the past week. Price didn't do much. Like it went to the zone, pushed back up a little bit. Same thing on both time frame. Although we had a setup right here, which I did not take, and I've talked about this earlier. I'll put the link to another video below, but this would have been a good setup. And I like to go back on this. I probably put this in my journal in the past. When I miss it up, I try to note them down. I'll make a note because I want to compute how many setup I missed and what would happen if I were to take the setup I missed. So this is going to be in my journal for sure. This trade right now, if taken, would have been a break-even trade probably. So we would have reached 1-to-1 of reward to risk for sure. And our price pulling back a little bit, but we can continue to move higher. Okay, so trade here missed. If you guys took the trade, then let me know in the comment below. That would be possible. I know some of you guys trade the same thing I trade, or pretty much similar, but this was a good setup on the pair at a support zone, keep in mind. And I want to remind you guys, I've said this in the beginning of the video, but the very first step into your trading strategy should be the context and looking at the overall picture of the market. Now, not everyone does that, but for me, that's always what I do, and that's why these reviews every week and every morning of the week are super powerful. But just to recap, I'll keep this one flagged for the next week. Euro/USD. Kind of missed a few setup on the pair this past week. We were talking before that this pair was between 1.17 and 1.14. Okay, a pretty good support area. Now, in the past, price went down, touched the zone, and here's where we had a few setup. So the first one was over here at 1.15 something. And we had this break of the Bollinger Band, bullish engulfing candle, breaks the Bollinger Band slightly. Okay, it's very small, but it does break the Bollinger Band. So I would be basically entering above the high, stop loss below the low, and we want to risk 3-1. Now this here would be a break-even trade. We would take partial profit at 1-to-1. That's about here. And then price went down. Okay, and we got topped out around here. Now I missed this trade because this would have been a break-even trade, pretty normal, which happens sometimes. Now the second trade happened here. Okay, so break outside the Bollinger Band once again. Bearish candle here, bullish engulfing candle over here, closing above the high. And you enter above the high, which is what I did. We want to risk 3-to-1. Price went up, and we got stepped out over here. Okay, this was caused, I think, by a news or just before a news, and then the news pushed the price in your favor. A frustrating thing, of course, but keep in mind you cannot do anything for that, and you have to accept those trades that happen sometimes. But I just want to share the trade and the setup I've seen and the setup I've took and missed, because it's part of the process, and it really helps me stay accountable and make sure I don't repeat the same mistake the next week after. GBP CAD reaching a major level, 1.78. Looks like price went up. No evidence of reversal trade on this pair, even though we touched the higher band of the Bollinger Band, and that is true for both time frame. Now I will keep this one flag, of course, because it's at the zone, and I'm probably gonna wait for price to pull back to the upper band, and this could be promising for some trade opportunities in the coming weeks. GBP CHF, close to the zone, not yet at the zone. I said I would flag this one earlier than later because I want to see what price was doing. Now it looks like prices went down closer to the zone the past week, and now we wait to see if we have any bullish setup on the pair. Nothing so far, so you keep it flagged, and it's at a very actually round number, like 1.3. That's pretty good. Now GBP/USD is a pair where I actually missed a setup. Okay, you guys see the setup here is because I wanted to put in my trading journal, of course, but I did not take this setup. This is a setup I took afterward, but the same principle applies. So break outside the Bollinger Band on the 1 hour chart as we reach the 1.31 area, strong support level in the past. Now price pushed above, so reach the 3-to-1 of take profit. That would have been a 2-hour trade overall. If you take profit at 1-to-1 and 3-to-1, And that's pretty much the trade. And now we could look for more opportunities, of course, especially this right here where price is pulling back to the lower band of the Montreal band on the 1 hour chart. Good place to look for bullish setup. You just have to wait and see what happens. There's always ways to re-enter. So I'll keep an eye on this for this coming week and I'll flag the pair. NZD CAD is at the zone. See how big this is. We had a massive bearish rejection on the forward chart. Went to the zone and pushed back down. This is 0.92. Okay, not a round number specifically, but just a zone where price bounced both times in the past, turning into a resistance area right now. And I'll try to keep an eye open on more setup. USD CAD right now pushed a little bit above this area, which we talked about earlier a few days ago. And I've told you guys that the basically next zone to look at is 1.35. Seems like we had a push to the downside on the 1 hour chart, but this would have created a major stop loss because of the big wick over here. So I'm looking to see if we're going to reach the zone at 1.35 or maybe come back to here 1.31 for a potential trend continuation setup. But for now there's not much to do because it's between two zones. USD/JPY is touching a area of resistance 111. And for the past week, price just went down a little bit of the zone. Okay, this is what you see over here. No sign of reversal yet, so that's why we need to keep watching and see if we have any setup on the pair. Finally, USD/SJD is doing the same thing pretty much as USD CAD. So it went to the zone where we took some trade setup, went out above the zone, and now we wait to see if price can reach the 1.39 area, which is the next resistance area possibly, and look for setup then. Hope that makes sense, guys. This was the whole review. We went through all the pairs, and if you have any question about this, comment below as always in the comment box. I'll make sure to answer. If you're looking for something particular this week, comment below, of course. And now I want to go back to Porto a few days ago, where I did a wine tasting. It was pretty good. So here's the quick travel part of the video. Welcome traders back to Porto. It is starting to rain a little bit, and today I have some task or goal to go for wine tasting. It's kind of one of these things that you have to do when you come to Porto, and even though I don't really feel like it because I've been drinking a lot the past 2 days, I'm gonna do it anyway for you guys and see what I can learn. And I'm into the place. It's kind of a small shop there, but it should be pretty good.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It's not of course. Yeah.
So it will taste a lot like grape and plums and sherry with a lot of maturation. And in the end it will be even a bit tannic. So it's almost like tasting a full bag intense red wine.
I guess the port testing was pretty good. Has some 2 different types, and they're pretty much all good. Some are better, of course. I'll try to go around the shop and see what I can find, but that's been interesting. And now for a small snack after all this wine. Looks pretty good. I was told by several people to try the bakeries in Porto, or Portugal in general, and that looks pretty good. To change of plan, the host of the Airbnb proposed to do a tour in the car of the city. He wants me to see a place that it's kind of unique in Porto, so we'll have a look at that. That's gonna be interesting. So kind of him. And it's raining outside, as you guys can probably see my face.
And at the same time it's open until 2 a.m. For instance, yes.
Stop for gas. And coffee, of course. Everyone needs coffee at that time. Alright guys, this was unexpected. We made it to a place with an amazing view, and it's like all the lights at night on the river. Take a look at that, it's really amazing. There we go guys, I hope you like this, and I'm in Dublin right now. The next video is going to be in Dublin, I think, and we're going to keep moving forward like this. I'm actually leaving in 2 days to go back to Montreal, but I'll keep you guys posted, of course, as always, on what happens. Comment below what you thought. As always, give a like if you enjoyed the video today. Subscribe if it's not done yet, and I'll catch you guys here in Dublin tomorrow. Ciao.